Bridgeport ballot controversy decision made for a bad day for one candidate, and there are changes still coming to the amount of pot you can buy here in Connecticut. So joining us now to talk about all of this is Dan Haar, the senior editor and columnist at Hearst Connecticut Media. Thanks, Dan, for being with us.
Good afternoon. Great to be here.
Let's start in Bridgeport, where a judge ruled in favor of a new Democratic primary election yesterday. It's been our big story today, though candidate Joe Ganim also learned about an investigation into where he lives. Tell us more.
Just yesterday, the State Elections Enforcement Commission, which looks into campaign finance, typically also the handling of ballots. They're the ones who launched the investigation into the handling of ballots to begin with. They publicly announced that they have accepted a complaint about where Joe Ganim lives because he owns a house in Easton. Now, Joe Ganim has moved around a lot, the mayor of Bridgeport. He's bought a lot of places and sold them and moved around quite a number of times. And now there are 3 condos in play and 1 house in Easton. And I won't even try to recite what my colleague Ken Dixon reported about where he's lived when, but suffice it to say that the complaint was filed by someone who the Ganim administration fired shortly after she appeared at a campaign event for his opponent. Oh. I'm not saying anything about that, but that's... So you know this is all tied into politics in Bridgeport,
yep.
And we don't know where he lives, but the investigation is now underway.
All right, Connecticut's increasing the purchase limit on cannabis, so what does that mean?
That means that starting December 1st, instead of being limited to a 1/4 ounce, you will be able to buy a 1/2 ounce of flower, aka buds, which is quite a lot, actually. You know, you're allowed to possess 1.5 ounces in Connecticut, which again is quite a lot. Medical patients of cannabis can have a lot more. I think it's 5 ounces a month, which is certainly way more than anybody can consume. Why it's that high, I don't know, but it is. And so what the question here is where this is headed, whether we can handle it. So that's...
Yeah. So do you think that the state can handle it? Is there enough supply?
That's the question. The short answer is right now, immediately at this moment, with 27 stores open and another 30 or so in the hopper with provisional licenses that could open in the next year or so or less, the answer is no. However, the number of cultivators is supposed to grow from the current 5 to many, many more because they have licenses too. And the hope is that as you create a market, retail cultivators, and the question is there going to be demand for all these people that have licenses? This is a very difficult problem. You don't create a market very often. Imagine if we did it for, say, plumbers. It would be hard to do.
So we will continue to see how this plays out. Dan Haar, thanks for the information, as always, on the context.
Great to be here.
And Dan writes about politics for Hearst Connecticut Media. You can always read his columns on ctinsider.com, in the New Haven Register, Connecticut Post, Middletown Press, and other local Hearst newspapers.